learns of this problem as our overdose numbers start skyrocketing. And they go in and they pass legislation and they shut down the pill mills. And they put these doctors in jail, several of them, which is the right thing to do, right? I mean, that's the thing that makes sense to do. The unintended consequence of that is you now had a lot of people who were addicted to prescription opioid medications who could not get their prescription opioid medications. And heroin was available, and it was very, very cheap. And so, you know, there's another track of students here that are going through and talking to people that are in recovery. The vast majority of them started on prescribed opioid pain medications and eventually moved on to heroin. So this all happened pretty fast. And as a person who works in the public treatment sector, we were probably a little bit slow. Everybody was probably a little bit slow to realize this was coming. And so when the pill mills were shut down and we realized this was such a huge problem, we didn't have the treatment capacity anywhere to help people with their addiction. And some people wanted help and some people didn't. That's the truth of it. So we have really at ADAM focused a lot of time and energy in the last few years on trying to fill in the gaps in treatment, particularly for opioids. The thing to understand is that substance use disorder is a disease just like any other disease, and it needs to be treated as such. In order to recover, people have to have some kind of treatment. Okay? So, what do you guys think the difference is between inpatient treatment and outpatient treatment?
Inpatient is like residential rehab.
Yeah. It is usually a place where you live and you stay for a period of time. There's usually medical staff available to help you, get through that. Those are they're very few and far between. And for those people that can access them, they're very expensive. A lot of insurances don't pay for inpatient treatment. The other option is outpatient treatment, which is obviously a lot less intense. It's usually involving seeing someone a couple times a week and going into an office, sometimes doing a lot of group and meeting with the counselor individually and some things like that. Detox. I'm not talking about a juice cleanse. When I say detox, what do you guys think of?
Essentially like just getting rid of any like residue from heroin, opioids that may still be in the body.
Yeah, so detox for heroin, usually 3 to 5 days, okay? And it's a pretty terrible detox is my understanding. But that is one way that people try and stop using, and that's essentially you're quitting cold turkey, right? You go through this detox process, and that's an inpatient facility, and then usually there's some kind of outpatient follow-up care that you start attending thereafter. But because of the way opioids work on the brain, it's very easy to relapse. It's very easy to go back to that. So what we're seeing a lot of success with is something we call medication-assisted treatment, okay? And that's primarily 3 medications. Methadone, which you guys have probably all heard of at some point, Suboxone, and Vivitrol. And those are all blockers of this opioid on the brain. And so they help to reduce the craving, and they help to block the receptors so that even if you do use, you're not going to get that same high, that same feeling. Okay? So there's more to this than just straight treatment. People don't usually become addicted without some kind of underlying cause or reason. And that can be sometimes a mental health issue, a trauma, or perhaps addiction runs in your family. And so you're just more likely to be predispositioned to addiction. Counseling will help you get to the bottom of that and really determine the root cause of some of that addiction and what you can do to prevent that from happening to you again in the future. Peer support. The concept of peer support is a really great one. It is that I am in recovery. I have recovered from my addiction or my mental illness, And now I am going to help you as the person new to that experience get through. That provides people with a lot of hope and some stability that they know that they can get through. There's proof of it. Supportive services, housing and job training. Okay? So a lot of the work that I do at ADAM is around criminal justice and reentry populations. The biggest predictor for failure for that population is if they are released from prison and they go back to the same house with the same friends and the same people and start doing the same stuff they were doing before. Prevention. Has anybody heard of drug take-back days? No? Yes. So,
When you take your leftover prescription medication and give it to the, I don't know, whatever.
the nice officer with
Yeah.
the box and yeah. So drug take-back days are becoming more and more prevalent. So if I get prescribed Vicodin for a tooth extraction, and I have 3 Vicodin left over, instead of having them sit in my medicine cabinet for 2 years, I can take them and they will be disposed of properly. Okay? Community education. Let's steal one of these for a second. You guys should have some of these at your table. This is a really great resource that I really encourage everybody to go and take a look at. Addiction is never just an individual issue. Never, regardless of the type of addiction. Addiction impacts families, your community, everyone that you would interact with, okay? And a lot of times, families don't get the support that they need to be okay themselves. They're so focused on that person with the addiction that they don't take really good care of themselves. And so this is a new website, a new web portal that we've developed that focuses on families, family resource, family information, how to help a person that's addicted, how to take care of yourself when you're going through that process. And it's just a really great resource. So I really encourage you guys to go take a look at it. And the last thing we're going to talk about in terms of innovative services is the HOPE Task Force. The Franklin County Sheriff's Department a few years ago developed this heroin overdose prevention and education task force. And it's made up of officers who go out after an accidental overdose and meet with the person that overdosed. And basically what they do is they try and figure out where they got their drugs from so that they can arrest that person and potentially get the drugs off the street. Now the person that they're talking to is pretty much free of any legal consequence, as you would expect them to be from a person who accidentally overdoses. But a couple years ago they came to us at the board and they said, hey, we're doing this thing and we really need some social workers. And I'm a social worker, so I was all about that. So what they do is they partnered with Southeast, one of our providers, and they actually go out to people's homes, and the social worker has a pretty frank conversation with them, something along the lines of, you almost died last night, let's get you into treatment. There's a window of opportunity there where the person is still scared enough from the night's events that they're willing to take that next step and get into treatment. And they've had a lot of really good success with that. The other thing that they do is even if the person denies treatment, doesn't want to get into it, they can still provide support to the families. There's a family support group based out of this so that people can come together and get mutual support there. That's my spiel. And I'm hoping that you guys are learning some really good things today and that you are going to hopefully take all this information and come together with the rest of your classmates and come up with some really good, innovative ideas for us. Are there any questions before we split? Okay. So this is my contact information, okay? There's a lot of good resources out there that can help you guys. The Attorney General's office, the Surgeon General, the ADAM website, all of those are really great resources. But if you have any questions, feel free to contact me, shoot me an email, okay? And I will help you guys out any way I can.
Thank you.
All right? Thanks, guys.
go to Smith Kimball's room. Hey guys, I got some pat.